So like any kind of information that you really want, feel free to shoot at any point. We should probably start with an introduction then.
Yeah. Start at my end again, eh?
We'll start at this end.
Okay, all right. I'm Alexander Martin, also Drockin on the internet. I made a game called Starseed Pilgrim, which was nominated for the IGF this year for excellence in design. And like I made some other things. I made a game called Asphyx, which asks you to hold your breath when you're underwater, and some people thought that was really cool. That's it. Good.
My name is Cale, and on the internet as Nickgrind. I made a game called Snakes on a Cartesian Plane that got a bunch of hits like a year ago. Yeah.
My name's Alberto. I'm an artist. I'm here because I have a background in graphic design, and I started on video games a couple of years ago. We currently developing a game called Circle Panic with Vinyl Game Studios, and yeah, that's my background.
I'm Karl. I'm also from Vinyl Game Studio. I'm the lead and only programmer there. And I don't know, I can use the internet. I don't think I have a name on there though.
My name's James. I'm probably the youngest one here. I'm still trying to pretty much get into the indie development
How old
scene.
are you?
25.
Ah.
No, you're not.
Well, youngest experience,
Yeah,
let's say. So if you're looking for any advice on the challenges of actually trying to get into it, I'm living it right now, so I can definitely fill you in there.
I'm Chris. I'm Cold Acid on the internet, and I've been making games since I was part of the quick basic scene around the turn of the century. Although you've probably never heard of any of the ones I've done because most of them died in the cradle. I do have something out on Windows Phone right now. I'm working on a couple other projects. Casual game, something kind of RPG. I'm not exactly sure at this point what it is, and visual novel.
So are there any burning questions you guys have about making games?
I've been oh, sorry. Go ahead. No,
You know you're in Canada way.
Lightness fight.
Okay, I guess I'm mostly like wondering about marketing. Have you guys ever successfully marketed games, or how do you approach that?
Oh, I can probably approach that question. My first let's say career that I want to pursue was advertising and marketing. So that was my first bachelor, and then I was like, no, I want to make games. So yeah, basically I'm let's just say like the guy who organizes all the marketing stuff in the studio. More like whatever is going out, you know what I mean, like Facebook pieces. Try to help another guy that works on the website and whatever's going to be printed and stuff like that. So it is a challenge because obviously we're not EA. We don't have a huge budget, and sometimes I come up with like really great ideas, but then they're like, okay, buddy, we cannot shoot a commercial in the Super Bowl. So yeah, so it's definitely a challenge. But if you think about it, now in 2013, as game developers, we have a lot more tools to communicate our games, and not only those tools are a lot cheaper, those tools are a lot more segmented to the people that you actually want to get to. If you think about a commercial in the Super Bowl, you're wasting a lot of money on people that are probably not even going to buy your game, and they're probably not even interested in seeing your game, right? So Facebook is a great option. Even Google Plus is a great option, even though a lot of people don't use it. There's so many underground options that are available for people right now, and they're much more accessible budget-wise. I don't know if you have another question regarding that.
For marketing, a big tip is to go to where your audience is and market there. So like say if the kind of person that are going to be playing that game, a lot of them are on Tumblr, like then hit up Tumblr, start like, following all the people that might be interested in it, just trying to like spread it around as much as you can.
I find transparency is really, really useful. Basically include your community in the development, release early, not perfect definitely, but basically get it exposed. There's people out there reviewing indie games, playing indie games, they just kind of, they are a collective essentially. And they can help spread it around, word of mouth, it's just, everything goes naturally from there.
Yeah. Network. I want to, network. Share what you've been working on with other developers, give them prototypes for them to play with, and they're going to say, hey, this seems really neat, this thing that I got from somebody else. And it takes a while to spread out, but it'll reach a lot of people a lot more cost effectively than any sort of traditional marketing campaign. And the people who are going to get into it are really going to be into it because they're going to see people they trust and enjoying it themselves. They're going to say, hey, this has to be pretty good. I'm going to give it a shot. And they're more likely going to say, I want to play more of this afterwards.
So, yep.
I'm a little bit in a situation that's a little bit quite fortunate and sort of out of the norm. Recently, I have gotten the pleasure to actually work with me and a partner on a project, a game project, and it's a 3-year deadline for it. But the thing is, we're aiming to do a free-to-play model for a online multiplayer game that's browser-based, sort of like Minecraft. And now we got ideas, of course, like any game developer, as well as we got art. My partner is incredibly good at concept, and but the one thing that we have that everyone is programming. Now we don't know how complex we might make it. We're hoping to put in as much gameplay as we can. I'm hoping to give as much exploration as well as atmosphere to it as possible, but we don't know the programming part of it. Now I'm not asking you to describe variables throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm just asking the one question that's been burning in my mind, and that's how to make a game accessible to multiple people, play with each other on separate computers.
Yeah.
Networking.
Yeah, there's I know Unity already has some networking libraries that you could use, as well as many other game engines. That's going to be a little bit tricky without a programmer though. Just tying all things together.
To hire a programmer.
Okay, yeah.
So we're looking.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. And I mean, networking isn't the most complex. It's definitely complex, but a lot of people have done it before. So you can just kind of follow in their footsteps by using libraries that other people have released, or even just asking people who have done it for tips and advice.
Do any of you guys have experience in making an online multiplayer, something? No. Okay.
I've made something that was online networking. It wasn't very complicated. But I don't really have that much advice for you. There are certain things that are going to be easier to code. If you want people to actually I don't really making it all, but a game where you're interacting with other people in real time and you're bumping into each other, the code's gonna be a lot more complicated than if it's say turn-based, right? Because if it's turns, then you don't have to worry about having a huge impact on the way the game feels. But that's pretty much all.
I'm willing to turn the combat into something that's turn-based if that would be easier. But
it would definitely make it easier on
real time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just as a comment on that, networking is one of the harder sides of I'm currently a game programmer working on another project with some friends. Networking is one of it's up there with AI in terms of complexity. And plus two, if you're doing a browser-based game, you have to, and if you're doing anything sort of competitive, you're going to have there's security built in, but you're going to have to worry about hackers trying to compromise your system. So as soon as you start doing anything multiplayer or anything networking or anything on the internet, you have to always assume, and your programmer should do this, you have to always assume that any sort of information the server gets is trying to compromise it. You have to really sanitize input, make sure that make sure that everything's kosher. One way to get around this is, and a lot of game engines use this, especially for WoW or first-person shooters, the server itself, the computer on the internet that everyone's connecting to, is the computer actually running the game, and everyone else is just getting information from the server. So the only computer actually running the game is the server, and everybody says, okay, I'm here, trying to move here, what's my new position? The server will then say back, oh, okay, or now you have this many items needed. That's one way to get around it.
I don't. Can I stop you? Like, I don't think this is super relevant because it's. I understand, but like, I mean, I'm feeling like a bunch of this is just going over your head too.
Yeah. This
Oh
is,
no,
I mean, I don't know, but like we're.
going over my head.
As it
on
just
my
it
ideas.
seems like if we're getting hyper focused on one particular thing.
Sorry about that.
No, it's
Yeah.
That's all right.
Input validation.
Your question?
Oh, thank you. So how do you generate interest in a project while it's in progress? Because I feel as if I get a fan base going while I'm working on the game, it'll kind of motivate me to work on it more, sort of thing. But you know, there's only so much you can do. You can be like, hey, I'm making a game. It's like, that's great, but it's not out yet. So how do you get people to care?
Fanbase is a two-edged sword. On the one hand, yeah, it can provide a lot of motivation to keep working. On the other hand, if you're not updating things on a schedule that they expect, it can get really difficult for you to keep going. There will be a lot of angry comments and people going, why isn't it done yet? Where is it?
True.
Being one of the people who was hanging on with the developers of Kadwa Shoujo, like talking with them a lot, and seeing what they were going through because of the community around that, and leading up to the release. Community is great to have, but you have to really control it, or it gets out of hand. It's great. It provides a base to gain even more people who are interested in your project because people are going to tell their friends and so on. It goes back to the networking thing. But if you're not providing enough information to them regularly, it can become a problem, and that can affect your motivation to continue.
I wanted to add a little bit on that.
Yeah.
I completely agree with him. And if you're taking the project by yourself, or it's a small team, yeah, you might want to check on community stuff, because you need to remember that when you're talking to a person face to face, they're actually very honest with you, but they have a huge social filter. But when people are online, they lack a complete humanity.
Empathy goes bye-bye, as we've all seen.
They're actually probably like the nicest people ever when you meet them in person, but online they just go and destroy all your faith in humanity with just one comment. So my advice is, like, if you have a team, you could potentially have just one person working on giving information to your fan base. If you have that one person working full time, then totally go for it, because I agree with him. If you keep that fan base motivated and then just like keep that ball rolling, then it's amazing. The second thing that I wanted to add on that, and it's a good thing, is just try to you actually commented on that before, is try to talk to other developers about your game, your ideas, what you already have built, and talk to them, show them what you have. You know what I mean? This is what I have now. It's really hard for people to steal your idea, because most people think, no, my idea is better than yours. And no, it's a human thing. You know what I mean? I think the way I cook is better than yours, and the way my mom cooks is better than your mom's. But like, if you show other developers, they actually can give you a great feedback on it, and they also will talk with other developers about your game. Okay. That's another part of like a small not fan base, but like social stuff with your game.
Yeah, the support network as opposed to the fan network.
Exactly.
Because they'll also, like, if you find yourself that things are flagging, they can provide you with advice that might help you continue on, or at least give you motivation to keep going despite the difficulties you're facing.
Okay.
You're not going to find that as much with a fan base than with a so to speak professional network.
Yeah, developers, they support you a lot more. They're a lot kinder for sure. Just a fan
Because they
base.
know what you're going through.
Okay.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they've
tend to
been there
afford valuable
before.
feedback too,
Yeah.
rather than just like if someone playtests your game and gives you feedback and they say, oh, this isn't good, you can't just take that at face value, because a lot of the time, if you just do what someone thinks they want, you'll be compromising other things that they're not aware of. But developers have more insight, I guess, into like what's going on.
Okay.
And just as I think indie developers' most important resource is motivation, and so you don't have to create your own community. There's a lot of I mean, support communities, whatever, like where people make games or they talk about games or whatever. And if you seek out those communities, it can be, and don't go there and just be like, oh, this is my game, I like it, and then never come back. Like but if you can find a good community and kind of like surround yourself with people who are interested in your stuff, and maybe hopefully you're interested in their stuff, then you get a lot of good back and forth.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I also want to mention before the next question about comments. If you're putting stuff online, you're going to get some terrible comments from terrible people. You can learn some amazing things to help out your game from comments, but try not to get too hung up on some of the really negative ones, because that definitely happens. Then you spend like all day just F5ing the comments page. Like, it's brutal.
The what was it from Penny Arcade? The
Equation?
yeah, the
Normal person plus anonymity equals total fuckwad.
yeah.
Say that again?
Normal person plus anonymity equals total fuckwad.
You've had your hand up for a while there.
Thank you. This is a developer question for programmers. Favorite programming language or tool or framework?
ActionScript all the way. I know like a lot of people think it's weird because Flash is dead, but there's like years of solid libraries and tutorials that have built up online. So I've like absolutely loved programming in it. Plus, it's a lot stronger than people tend to think with Stage 3D.
Yeah, I've been working in Flash myself for roughly about 10 years, so I've seen 3 different versions of ActionScript come out, and like you said, people don't give it enough credit, but it is very, very powerful, and a lot of big applications out there run on it. It's still very relevant for these days, and it's growing every year, essentially.
Yeah, like it's, when people say Flash is dead, they mean it's dead for video streaming, but like games is a whole other story.
I'm gonna be a bit of a dissenting opinion. C# and XNA are mono game.
I like C#. I like C++ as well. And I'm the kind of person, I hate using pre-made stuff. Like Unity I despise because I want to know what's going on behind the scenes. Like for our game, it's on Android right now, so we're using Java. And all I did is I started a new project, imported an OpenGLES, and I've just been writing everything from scratch because I don't want to use anything else.
I started with GameMaker, and I still really like it. It has a lot of problems. I don't use GameMaker anymore for anything, but there's a lot of people who make really good stuff in GameMaker. And I think it's a good place to get started if you have no idea what you're doing. You're like, I just want to maybe make something. GameMaker's a good place to start. Right now I'm using a language called Hax, or Hax NME.
Yeah.
I don't really, but it's similar to ActionScript 3, and I went from ActionScript 3, so I'm similar. I'm in the Flash code, but I don't use like Adobe Flash. It's just the code.
Oh yeah, like I don't use Flash the program, just Flex the compiler. And, in the back there?
I was wondering what developer communities you might recommend specifically.
In Toronto?
Or do you mean do you mean local ones or just on the internet? Or?
Just where do you go to connect with other developers?
Twitter is full of amazing game devs.
I have a.
That's not the best place to talk about.
GameDev.net.
TakeSource.net. I think it's .net. I don't know. They have forums, so the TakeSource forums are good.
TakeSource is very strong.
If you use Reddit, our game dev.
Yeah.
There's Toronto Skill Swap as well.
Yeah. Yep. So there's a lot of local Toronto things. There are at least 2 jams that happen every year. There's TO Jam, which happened recently, and Global Game Jam, which happened in January.
Yeah.
There's like DMG, Dames Making Games, which is spreading. There's
yeah,
there's
if you're
Skill
like
Swap.
a first-time female game maker looking to make games, Dames Making Games is an incredible organization in Toronto. I think that right now they actually have applications open for their next incubator, so they'll be teaching.
Dames Making Games?
Yep, Dames Making Games. Oh yeah, I was also TO Jam in Toronto. That's the biggest brick and mortar event. Like the most people crammed inside of one building. Making
There are 450 people this year making games.
Make sure you go next year.
Yeah, it fills up when like
when the sign-ups open, gotta be right there.
Yeah, like we have people like flying in from Europe for it, and a bunch of people from all over Canada come to this jam because it's incredible.
So there's also the Hand-Eye Society and IGDA, and while they're not as much communities, they just kind of like organize like events. And like they're kind of communities, but they're not really in the same way. But if you look up the Hand-Eye Society or IGDA, they have meetups or socials like every 2 months, and you can meet some cool people there too.
quick question and a follow-up question after that. You were talking about program Stencil or something?
Yeah, Stencil works.
Stencil works?
Yeah.
And does that like work with like languages like C# or C# and all that, or is that just more like?
I'm not entirely sure. I've
Stencil
just
has its own language.
It
Like,
has
the
its
Stencil
own-
works based off of Stencil.
They just renamed it.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
it has its own built-in language.
Okay.
That's ActionScript.
Is it compatible with?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right then. Second question is that we were talking earlier about like showing games to other developers and like the community members and all that. Now, I heard you also mention something that games are really hard to steal. The game
ideas.
So I mean, what you said earlier about
it's in between indie devs unless you go to Zynga and then
It's a social thing, not a technical thing. With that, there's a lot of like, even if two different devs are working on similar ideas, they're not likely to just go and like try and drink the other developer's milkshake.
I mean, that does happen, but
it's not
like if you've been showing off your game the whole time, people know that it's originally from you, and you end up just getting a bunch of press.
Right.
So I mean, it's kind of like.
And part of it is, like a lot of the time, like okay, so like you said, you think that your ideas are the best ideas, and everyone else kind of thinks their ideas are the best ideas.
Yeah.
So just because like if you have an idea and you're like, oh, this is the best idea, even if you told everyone like 10%, 5%, not that many people would feel the same way that you feel about the idea. Like even if you think it's the best idea in the world, only like a tiny fraction are going to actually try to steal it, and even the ones that do, they're going to make something different, or it'll be really obvious, and you'll like.
Most likely, you will inspire them to do something around that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't think.
You're more likely to be imitated in a friendly way, like
rather than somebody actually like going, I'm going to steal these guys.
It does happen sometimes.
Like
but,
look at all the Minecraft ones.
But what's the word?
But usually it's worth just like
knows
the amount of feedback and like number of people playing the game that you get just to share it.
Yeah, the reason why I'm asking is I have a jaded view society. More like, I lost my faith in humanity a long time ago. And
you should have stopped visiting 4chan.
I don't even watch that. I don't even look at that website. It's all.
It's just the internet in general.
The reason why I was asking is like as soon as I make my prototype, would you recommend that I immediately at that point get a patent for my game before I start?
You wouldn't be getting a patent. Patents exist for like particular technologies that aren't obvious. It'd be copyright that you're thinking of, but since 1980, anything that a person creates that isn't a work for hire is automatically copyright to them. Look up the Berne Convention.
Can you like really elaborate on that? Like.
Well, I am not a lawyer. Honestly, this is something where if you're thinking about IP protection, you should really be talking to one of them instead.
Gotcha.
But as it is, even if other people may think your ideas are better than theirs, ideas are pretty much worthless anyways. It's execution on those ideas that has value.
Yeah.
So unless somebody is actually trying to steal like your prototype and pass it off as their own, you shouldn't have anything really to worry about. So as long as you don't like show it off to Zynga or some other firm that's known for drinking indie developer milkshakes, you should be okay.
Yeah. Do you think they got some sort of like workers diving into the developer community websites just to kind of like spy on the company?
Corporate
espionage.
espionage.
I don't know, like how credible I haven't dived into.
At the very least, you don't have to worry until it's done, because as far as I've seen, Zynga doesn't like steal prototypes. They wait until someone's like done, and then they're like, "Oh, that worked. Now we're going to steal it." So
yeah, they want to see success of something before they start cloning it.
Yeah, but you should. I mean, if you're that successful that Zynga still in your game, then you're actually awesome.
Yeah,
If you
you've
think
made it at that point.
I mean, if because they don't see games as something fun, they see games as cash sucks.
Yeah.
That's what they
A
see.
lot of us aren't in it to make money. We're in it because we enjoy making games. We enjoy seeing people play what we made.
I just hate to see someone try to build my game before I finish it because I go.
Don't worry about that.
Don't post all your
Yeah.
stories.
Don't
all your
worry.
code.
Don't worry about that. What you make is still your game, not theirs.
We have so many questions.
Yeah.
I don't mean to crash your panel. I just need to grab my water bottle. I left it.
I didn't want to go and get it. I didn't want to be that asshole.
On the topic of money, what do you think of Indiegogo?
Indiegogo.
Oh, that's the shitty Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Hey,
At
at least we can use it without needing American bank account.
I'd
Just the
say,
idea, like the concept of it.
yeah, Indiegogo itself doesn't really get much traffic. I feel that like it would almost be better to kind of roll your own Kickstarter like crowdsourcing on your own website.
And might as well go with Indiegogo.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll end up taking a larger cut, so it's like.
I mean, are you asking about Indiegogo specifically, or just like crowdfunding in general?
Just what do you think of it, and have you ever considered it?
Like the website specifically?
The idea of crowdfunding.
Crowdfunding, too many people with just an idea think it's gonna save them.
And it gets a lot of money sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
And then I guess sometimes they make it.
If you really want success with it, you have to have a prototype you can show off, or at least something that has that appearance. Successful Kickstarters almost always have like a gameplay video that shows off how things will be. They're frequently updated by the developer with information both before and after successful funding. It's a undertaking unto itself, aside from actually making the game.
They recently changed it too, didn't they? Where you have to have something, either a gameplay video or even like a working prototype. You can't just say, "Here's my idea," and have nothing around it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people were doing that, taking the money and not delivering.
You need to be careful because I'll tell you from my experience in advertising, if you could have a really crappy idea and maybe not even a working prototype because you can just fake a video. It's really all about how you market and how good your video and how easy it is to reach people. So yeah, my 2 cents are, it's either you actually have an awesome product or game or whatever, or you actually have an awesome advertising campaign. So if your goal is just to get money, just make a great advertising campaign and have a shitty product. I mean, it's not the most honest thing to do, but some people do it regardless.
If you don't upload a version of your game, it's all marketing. It doesn't matter what your game is. Like you can say whatever. Like you can say that your game is going to be like. There's so many different ways to just put a spin on whatever you're making to make it sound amazing.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Kickstarter is just like putting a lot of effort into marketing.
So everyone I know that's had a successful Kickstarter, they always say that it ends up being a lot more work just like keeping care of the community than they initially expected. So like you really have to prepare and like budget that into the time for your goal. Yeah.
And it can get a little bit scarier from the community itself because literally you're asking people for money at this point and you're offering rewards, so you have to literally keep updating and follow through on your promises. It can get scary if you don't.
It's an implicit contract. You don't deliver that game, and that can actually lead to all sorts of troubles for you.
I met the guy who made the Kickstarter for Code Hero. Like Code Hero was the Kickstarter that they got a bunch of money and then they just didn't make a thing. Apparently he's still trying to make it, but it was kind of weird.
Well, if he's still trying to make it, that's one thing. But I mean, like people who go like they get funded and then they're like they go for a few months and they're like, screw this, right?
Yeah.
Well, like,
Don't be that guy.
Like, what I keep hearing is people are saying like, "Oh, I'm surprised by how much money like all the bonuses ultimately cost."
Yeah.
And then cut into the budget too much and then they couldn't finish. I've heard that quite often, actually.
So like I said earlier that your most important resource is motivation, and Kickstarter gives you some motivation because there's like a community, and it gives you a lot of money, but sometimes you just lose motivation in a project, and it really sucks to be locked into a project when you don't want to keep working on it.
Yeah.
Link's been up for a while.
Hi.
Well, I just wanted to follow up with what you were saying about Zynga. It's actually, I think, a lot of publishers like to just think only about the money, and it's more about the developers that are more about like making the games and stuff. But anyway, I just wanted to say that. Also, secondly, I'm a fresh graduate from UIT. I did game dev, and right now, all I have right now is a website, some prototype games I made at school. And quite frankly, I really don't know where to look. A lot of the companies are like, oh, I need 3 years of experience. And I'm like, I need to find the 3 years, right? So where should I start, and how should I stand out in a way that they would like other people to stand out, but they don't? How can I really like?
In terms of getting a job.
Build up a portfolio.
You don't need 3 years of experience. They just say that to like scare people away.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really about what you've created, and like.
I mean, sometimes for sure, like if they can't find someone who's created like really cool stuff, then they'll also look to like the people who have experience. But
count, like you have to count that time where you've made your own games.
Yeah,
that counts. That is your experience. That is your experience right there.
Right. I see. And is there any specific areas you think I should look at? I mean, other than like big budget studios, or I don't know.
I mean, there's like smallish indie studios are popping up in Toronto, but like everywhere.
Yeah.
A good place to meet them is like at things like Hand Axe Society or IGDA. Just like look for local. I mean, and if you're not from Toronto, just just search like the name of your city and then like indie studio or like game community or anything.
Sure.
If you're in Oshawa, I can tell you there's nothing really out there at this point. However, that is probably going to change over the next couple of years, actually.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what was the first thing you said? IGDA, what else?
Hand-Eye Society.
Hand-Eye Society.
Hand-Eye Society?
Hand-Eye.
Like hand-eye coordination.
Hand-Eye Society. Cool. All right, thanks a lot.
Team there.
Yeah.
I think it's gamedev.com. It's a little bit outdated, but you can type in the same name. It will give you a list of developers in that area.
Nice.
Also, you could always try like interning, like maybe even just for a solo dev. Like you probably won't get hired, but you'll learn a fucking shit ton. I interned for free at Untold Entertainment, who made Sissy's Magical Ponycorn Adventure, and I learned.
Don't laugh! It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was an awesome game. It was so much fun.
Now, like I didn't work on that there. That's just what they're known for. But I learned like a hell of a lot from the guy like teaching me various action script, more than I did when I was in school. I mean, that experience can be really valuable. Plus, now I have someone who can like vouch for me if I ever need a reference.
Actually, I get an email every week from this website. I don't know. It's called Canadian Video Games Industry Job Alert something. And then it's actually pretty good. They compile someone somewhere compiles all the job postings that are game related, and they send it to you in an email. If you want, just wait for me. I'll send you the email or something for you to register or something. And then,
absolutely.
I mean, that might help.
Sorry. Actually, I really like LinkedIn. You can go LinkedIn account and just start talking to people.
I had a professor at my college. He said one thing is they want to see passion. If you show that you're passionate and you go in there and you say, look, I want a job, I will work 2 weeks for free, and if you don't want me, you can get rid of me then. If they take you then and you work out, then they'll hire you even if they don't have an opening because they see that you really want it. So if you offer to work for free, companies love that. They don't have to pay you. It's free labor.
Oh, because like I've been told that would kind of annoy them.
Oh, well, he told us that, and he was probably one of the best professors that I had there.
Oh, okay, cool. Thanks.
Really opinions, but I definitely agree with them. Like, if you can get that in, like, that actual experience on the job and have, like, possibly a mentor there, although that's not guaranteed if you go for everything, it's definitely good where you go. Like, if you have the time and support yourself with that amount of time that you'll be working for free, then go for it.
Cool.
Definitely go for it.
All right, thanks.
You have a question?
Did you learn C++ or C# first, and do you find that C++ is more manageable because of garbage collection?
If then, I guess C# is the one that garbage collects for you. C++ is also
Sorry, yeah, in manual, like manual garbage collection more efficient.
In school, I learned, like the first thing I did in high school was touring. Then I took Java, and then in college I learned Java for 3 semesters, and then 1 semester of C#. And pretty much those 3 semesters of Java, because I was at computer programmer at Sheraton College, it was absolutely useless for gaming. So I'm essentially self-taught, and like all my C++ I've taught myself. And so the memory management is nice. You say, hey, make this, and that's it. Whereas with C++, you've got a lot of problems with accessing memory that's being cleared, or you forget to clear it, and then all of a sudden you've got a bunch of garbage that you can't get at anymore.
I'm going to put something out about programming languages right now, and it doesn't matter what you've been taught in a class or a lab, but what you've taught yourself, what you've actually gone out and learned for yourself. Most of what I learned about programming was not what I got when I was going to George Brown. It was things that I found interesting and I wanted to investigate. So I would go through these open source projects and I'd see, oh, this is how they're doing that. I'd be picking up all these different languages. I'd be reading books about them and coming up with ideas to implement the same things in different programming languages. Having the sheet of paper is important for getting a job, but you're gonna work out a lot better if you just pick up all the languages you come across that interest you and just tool around with them.
Yeah, it basically breaks down. Programmers are very curious creatures. We love puzzles and we just want to go out there and learn for ourselves. You can't really be taught everything. It's an art form as well. It's literally a puzzle. So, hey, you just have to get yourself out there, look at other people's projects, break them down, and see exactly how they're made, and just keep going from there and build your own engines, and eventually you're just, I understand everything all of a sudden. And then you find more to find. So just keep going.
Another thing is they teach you what they think is the right way to do it, and especially games are the one thing, it is always changing. There's always, just in 1 week, all of a sudden they've got a new way of calculating how lighting works, and now all of a sudden every game runs faster. And so it's one that's always evolving, so you have to keep up to date, and what they teach you a year ago is probably wrong by the next year, and it's faster some other way.
In the back.
I want to address this question, and then I have my own. When it comes to languages, the more you know, as soon as you know enough of them, it just comes down to syntax. You can program quickly in any language after a certain.
Yeah, it's just translation once you know the logic.
But second, languages that have garbage collection are good for small games. If you're consuming large amounts of memory, you don't get really frustrated dealing with them being too late on garbage collection.
On that, I have to say that memory pools work just as well with garbage collected languages as they do with ones that aren't. And in fact, are probably even more important to have. So rather than tossing out objects whenever they're not needed, have a way of refreshing them for later use and just freeing them up manually when you need to.
For example, with JavaScript, even if you assign one value over top of another to try to reuse it, a lot of the time, it still holds the old value. So you can't depend on it to throw the garbage away quick enough.
JavaScript is just bonkers stuff.
It's just an example. But my question itself is, how do you guys get through the tough times, personally, not in general, but like how do you get through the hard points where like you're multi-threading or extracting something, or you're just working on a bug that's been going on for over a day, whatever.
He curses a lot.
Yeah, cursing is very helpful.
Yeah. If you can't make a sailor blush, you're doing it wrong.
A lot of time walking away is the best thing to do. Like, just walk away for a while, come back, and then you usually look at it and you're like, oh, it's this stupid bracket over here.
Or just like you might not be able to get to work, but then you figure out a different way that you could go about getting the same sort of results. Because I mean, like, there's a million ways to code the same thing.
But for a lot of that, yeah, you need to step away for a while. That's what I've found. Like, if something's pissing me off, the best thing to do is walk away for a while, recharge. Eventually, something will pop into your head. If you keep trying to push through the problem, it's only gonna make things worse.
Yeah, I find personally, I do my best programming literally in my sleep. I struggle for something all day, go to sleep, a couple hours later, I wake up with a brilliant idea, and then go back to the project right then and there, then dawns on me, and yeah, just keep going from there.
Also, sometimes just destroy everything and start from scratch. Not everything, but sometimes if you've got like a little framework and you're like, oh, that's good enough, and you're like adding stuff, and then it's way too much, sometimes from scratch.
First create the universe. My favorite.
I have a question about having a server and maintaining a server. how powerful would a server need to be? Like a server computer? Is there like specific computers for it? Can it just be a desktop? Or?
I have no idea, but for just testing, you could get like, you can run like a virtual server on your own machine.
There are also a lot of like hosting services, like server services that you can look around for. Like I don't know if that gives you like the amount of like control and security that you want, but there are tons of them.
For something that's largely multiplayer, probably the best thing to do is build it on top of a cloud service, or otherwise like buy a couple of rack-mounted systems that can be hosted somewhere like Markham, where you've got like a lot of these hosting farms. For testing, yeah, something in-house, you could probably run it off of a desktop as needed. When the service goes live, you don't want to be running it off like the home DSL line or something, and you're not going to want to run it off of a single system.
Okay. How expensive do you think a server could be? Like?
Yeah, you're going to want a pretty nice operating budget. Let's just put it that way. Whether you're building it on a cloud service, or whether you're picking up your own hardware and getting it co-located somewhere, you could be looking at anywhere from like $20 a month to a couple hundred. And as more people start playing it, and more people start playing it simultaneously, those costs are just going to keep going up and up.
Okay, so I guess that sort of answers my question about maintenance then. So like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. With a cloud service, it's nice because you don't care. You pay someone and they take care of it for you.
Yeah.
Whereas if the server goes down and it's yours, now you got to go figure out what's wrong with it.
You got to drive out there. You got to get like a new server from scratch, like. Or have one ready in case a situation like that. Drive out to your co-location facility, pull out the dead one, toss in the new one, plug everything in, boot it up.
Definitely make sure you have warranty.
Yeah. Honestly, going straight into like large multiplayer games where it's centrally hosted, rather than something where it's like Half-Life, where anybody can just host their own server for people to connect to. That's for me personally. That's like a warning flag. It's not something that I would be doing without having a really big budget for it to begin with. I mean, even for basic massive multiplayer games these days, you're looking at in the tens of millions now.
Oh wow. So
yeah,
Minecraft, the type of multiplayer.
Anyone can set up their own Minecraft server, though. That's the thing.
Yeah. So,
and
so
a lot
it
of
doesn't have any like centrally hosted, and everyone joins this one. It's just you host it on your own computer.
Because I'm not thinking something like World of Warcraft, where it's a huge world where everyone is. I'm thinking like it's grouped up, like up to something like 5 people, or just your closest friends in sport.
Then you want to have it where one of those people can actually host the server themselves.
Because then you don't need any servers; they are the server.
Yeah,
well,
and then
I'm hoping to see if I can have some set up.
Like you would just have your own server for connecting games in that point, which is a lot less strict.
Well, yeah, if like a hub, like where you get the list of like different servers you connect to. Yeah, you could do something like that off of like
one server.
Any web hosting facility.
Yeah.
You could get something from like DreamHost for like $11.99 a month, and set that up with like a PHP script or a Rails service.
Okay, thank you for the advice. Also, one more question. But if someone else has a question, then do that question first.
Just to extend on the network gameplay for indie games. I don't see it often, and the only example for indie game on like multiplayer for indie games that I've witnessed is like Minecraft, that they require the users to have their own server or multiple. But for games for on consoles on Xbox and whether it's Xbox 360 or Xbox One or PS4 or PS3, how do you have any insight on how if I'm using their servers or if I'm gonna have to have my own servers for those other
if I'm not mistaken, you don't really get any sort of multiplayer capabilities with Xbox Live indie games. XBLA and regular Xbox games are all built on the Xbox Live network. For games on network games on PlayStation, as far as I know, it's all on PSN. And in those cases, I believe it's Microsoft and Sony who own the systems that's all running on, but you've got to be doing a lot of work with them to get what you need on their servers up and all this certification stuff that you'd be going through anyways.
Wait, are you talking about putting a game on Xbox or something?
Yeah.
Well, I'm developing my own game, and I'm looking to put it on as many platforms as possible.
Okay. I decided to go with PC because I hear a lot of things about when you try it, especially if you're an indie person, you try to put a game for like Xbox, like sometimes it just gets lost in the indie marketplace.
I have.
Yeah, XBLIG has probably the worst return on investment you could ask for.
That's
yeah. If you're not an XBLA, you're gonna get ignored.
Yeah, even if you are on XBLA, you're still paying about the same amount as the AAA developers do when pushing updates or new DLC. I believe it's about
they don't really release numbers.
$50,000.
I've heard somewhere between 10 and 20. They don't really release numbers, but I've heard between 10,000 to 20,000 thrown out for, like, if you release something.
If you need to patch something.
Yeah, and if there's a bug right away that you have to patch because it's game breaking, that's another 10,000 on top of that.
So it's release the game for.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Actually, one thing you should.
We've only got about 5 minutes before we're supposed to be wrapping this up, and I actually have to go out to another panel at the DoubleTree right now. So I'm gonna sign off.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the Wii U as well.
Okay.
Yeah, well, see,
thanks, guys.
That's just it. That's been my favorite. That's been my favorite console because the way my team is structured. It's more centered around.
You guys pull out your pink sheets.
If you're an indie developer, I don't recommend making a multiplayer game. Unless you're going to do unless you expect to get a lot of people, because especially if it's multiplayer only, if you're local is somewhat better, but like if you're trying to make like an online multiplayer game or a massive multiplayer game, there's the technical difficulty, but there's also just you need to have a community or the game is dead. Because like that pretty much means that the only way for people to play the game is with their friends. Rather than just being like, oh, I'm going to play the game today and no one's online, so I guess I'm never going to play this again because no one's ever online.
So how's this for an idea of like, maybe the board, okay, I'm going to use, I know we talked about this, and I just wanted to pass this, but like marketing this kind of thing. If I release an offline version for a specific console, and then later down the road, I can multi-platform it, but I can call it online edition and also pump the online edition to, like, say, if I'm developing for the Wii U first, right? And then develop the online version later for all platforms for the Wii U. Does that seem like a feasible approach to it?
You gotta I think that you're worrying about too much stuff way too far in advance. Like, you really need to actually know that you're going to be on the system before you need to start worrying about this stuff. Just focus right now on just making a good game.
Oh no! The focus is there. I just have a little bit of focus left to kind of look ahead, and that is. I just want to be a sponge and just try to soak in as much insight as possible.
Have you made any games before?
Small. Very small.
Well, small games are games.
Yeah.
Have you finished them?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. just I just want to make sure that you're not like this is like your first project. You're like I'm gonna make like a 3-year project and it's gonna be on all platforms and multiplayer.
I've been there where I've been excited about a project and decided to leave because I lost like fun, but it had nothing to do with programming. Like, but like I enjoy programming every day. Like I mean, it's I love the challenges. I play Professor Layton every day.
I have a comment on your idea to put it on like one of the consoles or something. Like, if you like that local feeling that you get from holding onto an actual controller and like sitting on your couch and looking forward, and then like
it's not just the interaction between the person and the machine. It's also what you can do with that with your friends around you, sharing it or whatever, right?
So like multi-controller, like more than one person has a controller.
More than one person will have a control. Not the because I'm making it for the Wii U, so not like people will have just the regular controllers, whether it be the Wiimote or just the Wii U, pad, whatever, and one person who's going to be sort of the central focus of that particular game round will have the Wii U gamepad.
Okay. I originally thought you was like a single player thing.
Just wondering if we move on to some more questions and stuff. Well, just because we want to be able to like get as many people, like answer as many things that they might be curious about when it comes to making games. If there are any more questions. Yep.
What was like starting up your first project?
My first project? My first project, overambitious, to sum it up in a word. Decided I was going to make a zombie MMO in high school, and I got as far as a gun floating around in 3D space. But, yeah, that's my first project, at least.
MMO is the first name.
Yeah.
Never a good idea.
No.
What do you define as a project?
As in, like, well, let's just say, like, if your first idea is on, like, just, like, trying to put it together, or just, like, a project you started with, like, a group or something like that you were working on?
Just because, like, I made, like, maps in Doom. I made, like, a map of my house in Doom. That was my first project. But, like, I don't know. I guess I've just been making games for, like, a while. So I remember, like, really early on, I was making this game in Game Maker, and because of a technical limitation, I couldn't... Oh, also, like, that combined with how lazy I was, I couldn't make bullets shoot in the direction you were facing without turning every other bullet that you'd already shot in that direction. So I just turned that into a game. So like there were like pits. I just remember there was one level, it was just a big spiral with like a pit here. So you had to like shoot the bullet and like you had to just turn and guide the bullet around. It was really.
It's a fun idea.
I know personally, like when it comes to the first kind of projects I did, I messed up and completely like failed a bunch of them before I finally made my first game I was really happy with. Like it takes a lot of practice. Like programming is a skill, art is a skill, but finishing games is also a skill that often like people don't think about.
Failing gracefully is also a skill.
Gracefully.
What's the best indie game you played in recent memory?
What's the best one?
Like the best indie game you guys enjoyed in recent memory?
Circuit Panic?
Yeah.
Man, I haven't played games in so long. I really don't have time. It's just so awful that, I mean, you guys know, you guys get into making games and you just don't have time to play games.
Yeah, I've never played
sad.
less games than when I started working at a gaming company.
Yeah.
But I think Limbo is by far my favorite one.
Limbo, yeah.
Maybe Journey, maybe Level.
Journey's really good. I've been enjoying Vesper 5, but that's because I've been playing it for months. I don't know if you guys have heard of that game, but you just get to take one move a day. So it's kind of just nice seeing the environment unfold.
I'm going to throw back a couple years and say Psychonauts.
Oh, nice.
It's the definition of fun, so.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah, and I know Jet Set Radio was one of the biggest inspirations that I have for making games.
I don't know, Chivalry, I think they're an indie company, I'm not totally sure. That was really great too.
Yeah, what do you do to basically, I mean, I guess this is the creative block question. What do you do when you start losing motivation to work on your game? You find yourself procrastinating?
Trash and start a new project. That's what I usually do, and it helps that I tend to try to make projects that are really small. Like I made a game that like a 5-hour long like to play game probably in like 2 weeks, and people still talk to me about it sometimes. But like if you start a lot of projects, eventually like you like throw out like 20 projects, but eventually you'll hit one and you'll just be like, holy shit! You'll just have this huge rush of motivation and you'll get so much done. And just like having experience with so many different games is amazing. Like so, just like if like it's different if you are like if financially it's a problem to abandon things. Like if it's like, oh, you know, I have a 1-month deadline, I have to make this game, and that's part of why I'm uncomfortable with crowdfunding. Is because this is the way I work. But make like start with small stuff and throw it out. And start with something small and throw it out. And start with something small and it looks good. And you build more and then you throw it out. And then like maybe come back to it. Like don't delete your files. But like if you've lost motivation in something, but you think it still has promise, don't spend all like. And it's different for every person. But just don't spend all of your time struggling with something that might go nowhere.
I know both of us, we tend to make smaller games, and I feel this because when you start making a game and you have that idea and it's fresh, like you're, oh, so excited, can't wait to like work on this, stay up all night coding. And I mean like, that feeling stays for a while, but it definitely starts to go away. So you try and get as much of the game done in that like first week of like crazy excitement. And then hopefully you manage to like actually be able to finish it up before you just like, I don't want to work on this anymore. I know personally I have like over 50 like subfolders in my dead projects. Like it's insane, and I mean that happens making games. Every single one I've still learned something on, and lots of them I've been able to reuse bits of code from. So like it all helps in the grand scheme of things.
I just I mean from my background, it happened. I started freelancing in like 2006 or something, and something that might not motivate you a lot, but it pushes you is to having clients, and even it doesn't really have to be a paid client. Because when I started as a graphic designer, and you'll see that a lot in graphic design is that a lot of people offer to work for free, and I still do it sometimes. But the thing is, like when you have somebody that you have to answer to, it pushes you to finish whatever you have to do. And sometimes you'll be frustrated, and sometimes you will see that you don't find what you're trying to get to, or the point that you're trying to get to. But if you just stop doing whatever you're doing, go play another video game, go outside, I don't know, talk to somebody, I don't know, whatever you like, go on 4chan, I don't know, whatever you like to do, that helps you kind of like F5 your mind on that kind of project that you're working on, because you're always having that person in the back that you're responsible. It's like, I don't know if you guys have kids. I don't have kids, but when you're working to feed those kids, you know that you have to do it regardless. So when you sometimes just try to make a game for a friend, just try to make a game to impress somebody that actually made another game, and that the pressure that's always on top of you will eventually help you get through. That's for sure.
Speaking of games for friends, I love doing like little 2-hour game jams for friends' birthdays, just to make them like a little thing like that.
I
like,
made
it's
my
great
boyfriend
practice.
like a little game for Valentine's Day.
Oh,
so
nice,
it's
yeah.
really nice.
You feel that pressure helps you because you want to impress somebody.
So there's two things. One of them is you said game jams. Game jams are really good for having that pressure. But it works for me because I start a new project, but also the pressure is really helpful. And so game jams 48 hours, make a game in 48 hours. And so, or a different number of hours. Sorry, I don't know. Sorry. So game jams are, okay, but the other thing is, if you are dead set on an idea, but you're like stuck on it, and you're like, oh, I don't really feel motivated to finish this, come at it with new ideas, come from different directions. Ask yourself if right now it's fun, and hopefully it is. If it's not, like, what's the quickest way to make it enjoyable?
Sorry, you have a question?
Yeah. This just came up from a conversation with my friend. Is it better to develop a game on a 32-bit processor or 64-bit?
I don't think it really matters.
It doesn't matter, right?
No. Like, at least not for one person, not for a long time.
Depends how much RAM you need, because
Yeah.
with 32
Doesn't matter
you're
on
limited to 4 gigs. Other than that, there's no real difference. Doesn't matter on consoles.
Well, none of us are on consoles, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. Like, I mean, just design the game first and then worry about getting it to work on things.
So just one more question then. If you were to develop on a console right now, which one would be the choice for you?
Sony. They have been doing such an amazing like indie push, and I've seen lots of Toronto developers that have had like great experiences. They treat their indies really well.
Yeah, they're trying to waive fees left and right just to get more indies onto their platform.
I believe in it.
Whereas Xbox is raising theirs to push them away, I guess.
Yeah, you need a publisher now.
Alright, I think we're supposed to wrap up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh crap.
Yeah. Alright.
So any
more questions?
We'll
go through a few rapid ones.
I got a question, but if anyone else has a question, please go.
Yeah, people who haven't been heard yet. Yep.
What do you think about making a pair prototype game?
Prototypes? Oh, prototypes.
Paper prototype.
Oh, paper. I do it sometimes. Sometimes, like, it all depends on what the game is. Sometimes I just really want to get into the code of it. But,
If the game's like a turn-based thing, then like if the game can be pretty accurately represented as like a board game or a card game, then paper prototype is really good because you're basically making like a digital board or card game. But if you're doing something like making
like a physics game
or like a platformer where how the game feels is really important, there's a lot that you're going to miss by making a paper prototype. But if it's helpful to you, do it.
Yep.
Just really quickly, can you comment on if you have the capability to make your own engine versus using a commercial engine like Unity, what are the questions you need to ask yourself when making that decision?
Do I want to make an engine or do I want to make a game?
Like time constraints?
Making an engine definitely takes time.
Do I have enough time to do it?
If an engine can do what you want to do, then use the engine. But like, say if you have some like key, crazy, like fundamental feature to the design of the game that just can't be replicated in the engine, then I would roll my own.
Would it cost less money too to do something like that, or
if you're making your own, it's cheaper because you don't have to pay for the license, but it's also going to take you a ton of extra time to write that engine.
They're free engines.
There's free alternatives.
And I mean, even if you're not using an engine, you can use a like open source library that'll take away like a lot of the grunt work.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just want to comment on the patent thing that was mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Don't bother. Like, patenting a game mechanic or any kind of game style, there's so many gray areas that you're wasting your money.
Yeah.
Don't bother.
Just
and
make
also,
games.
I know there's a lot of talented people in this pool here, so if you guys are looking for like internships, jobs, send us your resume emails at finalgamestudio.com. We're always looking.
Yeah. I think this is the wrap up because it's 4. But if any of you guys have more questions, I'm sure we'll be like out in the halls. Feel free to.
Wait, can I want to say one thing? Part of the support thing is like meeting and knowing people. So if you're working on a game or you have a game done or anything, you can send it to me.
Yeah, send it to us.
My name is hard to spell.
I came prepared with cards.
I don't have cards, so you'll have to. No, Draken is hard.
By the way, June the 14th, I'm going to be doing a skill swap on marketing for games, so whoever wants to join, just go there. I'll be there.
Thanks for coming. I hope
Thanks
it was
for
useful.
coming.